We're back here at Radio Row, Super Bowl 48 between the Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos, and now we're joined by a guy that everyone knows in Philadelphia, and that's Brian Baldinger. Brian, welcome to the program. Zach Gelb here. How are you?
Zach, my pleasure, man. Nice to be with you.
Thank you for coming on. And before we get into the Super Bowl, let's recap the Eagles' year real quick. A lot of people expected 7-9, not making the playoffs, a wash year for Chip Kelly, and they impressed a lot of people getting into that first round and losing to the New Orleans Saints. What were your impressions overall with Chip Kelly during year one?
I thought he was nothing short of brilliant, to be honest with you. I loved everything about him. I took a while, I think, for the players to fully buy into just the difference in the way that he did things compared to Andy Reid, but Chip Kelly's going to have a long tenure in Philadelphia in the National Football League if he wants one. He's very bright. He's extremely committed. He's a lot of fun to be around. And he's a bright mind, a flat-out bright mind. And he's got a good staff. They lost a good coach in Bill Lazor to Miami. But I expect this is just the building block and the foundation to better things to come.
If he has to prove on one thing next year, coming over from the college ranks at Oregon now to the NFL ranks, what's that one thing?
I just think it's the overall rules of the game and the enforcement of the rules, whether it's instant replay and how they're calling games. I mean, I just think that's something that I think all coaches kind of wrestle with, is maybe some of the inconsistencies, what gets called, what doesn't get called, understanding what could be challenged and what not to be challenged. I mean, I just think getting his arms around some of the litigation of the league.
Get into his quarterback in Nick Foles. I was one who wanted Michael Vick out before the season and put Nick Foles to start and let him see what he could do, as many people thought it was going to be that wash year. Came in, had an incredible touchdown to interception ratio, played really well in the final two games of the year, especially turned it around after that first Dallas game. What you look at Nick Foles, do you think he could be the answer at quarterback in Philadelphia?
Yeah, I mean, he certainly can be. I mean, he's MVP of the Pro Bowl. I mean, the whole thing. But I would disagree that about Mike Vick. I mean, I think the competition was good for everybody. I think Chip Kelly knows how to coach quarterbacks. I think that it's always going to be a competitive atmosphere at that position. I don't think he's just ever going to be just anointed, with that guy, as Mike Vick walks by. But I think that this system is a very quarterback-friendly system. Nick Foles doesn't have to make a lot of tough throws. He knows how to space the field. He trains the quarterback on what to look for. I think there'll be more competition at the quarterback position regardless of the success that Nick has. I think it's going to be a position that's going to be well coached, and they're going to get a lot of production from it.
Riley Cooper came a long way from what happened early on in the beginning of the year, and people were calling for him to be cut, me not being one of them. But you look at a player like Riley Cooper, him and Nick Foles had a very special relationship this year.
They did. And there's just the fact that when you're 6'3" and 220 pounds, and you're athletic and tough, and you want to learn and work, there's a place for you in this league. I mean, Eric Decker is showing that here in, this week in Denver. I mean, there's a place for those type of players. And Nick had no problem throwing it up in a crowd to him. He trusted his ability to, to catch it in a crowd, to separate. I mean, Riley probably developed as much as any player on that team this year. And there's no question that they have a good chemistry between the two.
We're talking to Brian Baldinger, final one here on the Eagles, and then we'll get to the Super Bowl coming up this Sunday at MetLife Stadium. The defense under Billy Davis did a complete 180 after that Denver Broncos game. Denver's now in the Super Bowl. Did that Denver game kind of serve as a wake-up call for that defense?
Well, I wouldn't say that, Zach. I mean, I thought that this defense was going to need time to transition. I mean, anybody that goes from one style to another style always needs some time. When Steve Spagnuolo went to the Giants, it took him a half a year to figure it out, and then they ended up winning a Super Bowl in 2007 with Steve as a coordinator. It takes time, but, I mean, I think they learned from that game, but I think Billy was just a really good teacher. And I think the players really respect him, and I think they really listened and worked hard for him. So I would expect better things to come this year.
Let's get to the Super Bowl coming up this Sunday. Russell Wilson comes in, and it's kind of a new style at the quarterback position, being a mobile quarterback, but he also has a lethal arm. When you look at the offensive lineman standpoint, what changes when you have a mobile quarterback that could kill you with his arm and could also extend the play with his legs?
Well, it's, he's been sacked 42 times. You're going to be sacked more when you're a running quarterback. You just are. There's so much speed in the NFL. You want to break the pocket. You got a lot of fast guys chasing you. And Russell's fast, but they're going to tackle you. You can't worry about sacks when you play this style of football like Russell plays. I mean, he's a lethal guy on the edge. He creates a lot of plays when he's out there, but there's some negative plays too. As an offensive line, all you can do is just block your assignment and let Russell do what he does. It's effective. I mean, he doesn't take a lot of shots. I mean, he's going to start his, 39th straight game in a row. He's a very, very talented player, and I think everybody up front respects him, number one, and whatever decisions he makes, however he decides those, they respect it.
If Peyton Manning's able to get his second Super Bowl on Sunday, that opens up into a whole new books of things. But I already think he is one of the all-time great quarterbacks. His regular season play speaks for himself. The postseason, he has had some bad postseason performances, but a lot of people are going to judge him by what he does on Sunday. What would a win mean for his legacy? I think if he wins, a lot of people just shut up about that he can't play in the playoffs.
Well, I hope the whole conversation goes away. I know Peyton doesn't worry about it. His day is going to be cemented in Canton 5 years from the day that he ends up retiring. I mean, that's a sure thing. He's the face of the league. You don't become the face of the league because somebody thinks that you're an inconsistent quarterback or a non-winning playoff. You're the face of the league for a reason. The way he conducts himself, the way he handles his business, the way he competes. Omaha is now a very famous city in this country because of Peyton Manning. The commercials. I mean, it's the royalty of the NFL is the Manning family. So they don't give these things away. He's going to have to go earn it against the league's best defense. So he gets this against the league's best defense. It's going to be talked about for a long, long time.
Especially in a cold weather stadium, which most people have given him a lot of crap over the years. And on the way out here, we're here with Brian Baldinger. Press coverage is going to be a lot by the Seattle cornerbacks. They're a physical group. Pass interference, it's one of the most inconsistent rules in the NFL. How big of a factor is that on Sunday, how the referees let them play?
Well, I mean, Seattle had, the best record in the NFC, and they're the most penalized team in the NFL. So they've overcome. I mean, they're not going to change their style of play, Zach. They're going to stay aggressive. They're going to challenge the rules. We have seen throughout the playoffs that they're not throwing a lot of flags right now. They're letting them play a great deal, which favors Seattle. They're not going to change anything they do because of the way Terry McAulay calls this game Sunday.
Well, Brian, we appreciate a few minutes. Thanks so much, and let's talk to you again real soon.
My pleasure, Zach.